Hey there. Welcome to this episode of Your Ultimate Life. This is a little series I've been creating. And, we talk about in the personal development world, well, forget personal development, just in living life, we talk a lot about how to create things, how to make something happen that you want in your life. So let's do something silly. If I want an omelet, and I go down to breakfast, I know I need some, cut up some green peppers and onions, and maybe there's some hash browns that are frozen. I stir that in there or whatever and throw in a couple eggs and some cheese, and I'm good. So I know how to make that, right? I know how to make that happen. Now, a little bit more complicated. I was playing yesterday in the studio with some green screen stuff, and so I was working on how to position it and was looking for a different crossbar for the green screen that hangs down. But at the end of the day, I know how to make that happen. And there's a bunch of steps. There's things that you do. Making something happen in your life is exactly the same. And, somehow when we move to making money or we move to fixing, building or fixing relationships, we think that it's somehow different. It's not. There are a set of steps to follow to cause anything to be created. Now, a funny thing happened the other day. Grandma here, my wife's Joy's mother, lives with us, and she's 93 last September. And, she's already made it halfway to 94. So, but she's pretty creaky. But what she does is she likes to bake things, and we like her to bake things. She makes great cookies, and she made something the other day called a dream cake, right? And so she doesn't have any vision at all in one eye, blind in one eye, and can see out of the other one, varying amounts because she's got some glaucoma that's being treated, but still has an effect. Anyway, so she reads the recipes, and it takes her a long time to do it, which is great because it keeps her busy, and she turns out something, and we all like it, so she's happy, etc. But anyway, making this dream cake, she can get confused in the recipe, and so there was a lot of extra sugar in it. And so this time it was extremely sweet. Now that mistake in following a set of steps created a consequence, and the consequence was kind of funny, really sweet. Joy didn't like it. I liked it. So I ate it over, many days, and it was beautiful. Mistakes in other ways sometimes have disastrous consequences. I'll give you a story. If you got time for a minute for a story, pretty funny. I was in high school. I was the lab assistant in the chemistry lab when I was a sophomore. And I usually, at least in my high school in those days, you took chemistry when you were a junior, your third year, grade 11. And I took it also as grade 11, but I was the lab assistant in grade 10 because I had spent tons of time since I was in the sixth grade. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'd spent 5 years as an amateur chemist in the garage. I started with a little chemistry set and added. In those days, you could go down to Rexall Drugs and buy glassware, and they had a little section, little bottles of chemicals, and I used to do that, and I loved reading in the encyclopedia about how to make stuff. Anyway, as a boy, I don't know, I was fascinated with, gunpowder and things that go boom. So I learned to make some explosive things, and one of them that I made, and I'm not going to go into detail about it, you had to do very carefully and keep the temperature controlled. And I didn't do it. So I made a mistake in that recipe, and that had a disastrous consequence. Nobody got hurt, gratefully and fortunately, but it could easily have done that. So mistakes in our formulas or in our steps to do things are always learning experiences. They can be funny, like too much sugar, or they can be potentially dangerous, like getting things out of not keeping the right temperature when I was creating this explosive. So, but there's still a formula, is my point. And everything that I'm doing is about creating your ultimate life. And I named this WIP³OS, WIPOS, and P has 3 parts. And yesterday I talked about possibility. And this is a formula. So it's like creating bread or cookies or, anything. It is a formula to creating your ultimate life. And the order that I put these in, WIPOS, I did one a few days ago. This is my adventure of 100 days. Now, today is day, I think, 10. Today is day 10 on this adventure. And what I'm doing on this adventure is I'm going to reach 40 million people. I'm going to reach with my podcast, with these videos, with my LA Talk radio show, with all the things I'm doing. I just was on a beautiful podcast yesterday. Oh, wow. And it's not out yet. It'll be coming out in a month or so. It was a person that I met in Phoenix at the International Association of Near-Death Studies. This last September, they had their annual conference, and I spoke there, and I met a lot of amazing people. And this gal is a podcaster who features people that talk about what happens in these interesting things when people die and then come back. And that happened to me in 2018. And I had an extraordinary experience meeting God at the door between life and eternity. Anyway, being on her podcast is another way I'm reaching my 40 million. And so just like making cookies, there are a set of steps, a formula to do that. And one of the things I like to do for you is I like to help you reach your audience. Now, I don't know, maybe you have all the audience you ever wanted, and you have all the clients you ever wanted, and you have everything you ever wanted. I don't know. There are people like that. I live a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, and part of that is the mission that I have to reach you with WIP³OS. The message, the method, and mastery, so you can have the life you want. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Kellen, you're crazy, I already have the life I want, everything is happy, then I want to talk to you because I love learning the stories of how people got there. Because we don't, we're taught more, have more, get this, we're taught that. And we're taught from the cradle that we're not good enough. So if you have progressed on a path so that you're living a life of absolute joy all the time and you're totally happy, I love hearing the stories about how you got there. What happened in your life so that you learned this and learned that and you got to a place where you are living that ultimate life. I love talking to those people, meeting them, and also helping them share their stories. Not everybody, but lots of people want to feel called to share their stories in the hopes that it will help someone else. Every coach feels that. Every consultant who's not doing some kind of technical consulting. Every author who's writing a book that's designed to help others. Every person creating a program. All my clients, not all, probably 75% are in the business of service, and they know it, and they call it that. I have a fellow who helps people create nonprofits so they can add good to the world. I have a fellow who helps people learn to freelance of a particular demographic so they can make money and also keep themselves relevant and powerful. I have just many clients who are doing things on purpose to add good to the world. So my mission in this 100 days, and this is day 10, it ends on April 16th, and I'm going to not do every day because I haven't. This is the 4th or 5th one, and it's day 10. But everything I'm doing is to reach 40 million people. And part of that is with your message. So if you have a message you'd like to get out to millions, let's talk, because I know how to do that. And I'm doing it. 40 million people in this next 100 days. And this is day 10 through these methods. And that also is a way to create business and impact and all the kinds of stuff that you might want to do. So that's the adventure of 100 days. And day 10 is today. And yesterday I had the amazing opportunity to be on that podcast with a woman who's committed to sharing those stories, again, to help people grow. All right, so I wanted to talk about the next element of WIP³OS, WIPOS, with cubed on the P because there's 3 Ps. W is your worth. What are you worth? Well, the true answer is there is no price. The worth of your soul, your message, your being is infinite. There's no way to measure that. That's a simple fact. But you know what? We don't live like it is. We live like we don't matter much. We live like we don't count. We live like there's not much for us. And that's not true. The I is your identity. And the truth about our identity is that you're a divine being. You're a child of God. However you perceive or conceive or understand that relationship to take place, the truth is the pedigree of your spirit is written on a single line. You and God. Like you have parents and grandparents for your physical genealogy, but your spiritual genealogy is one line. which when you remember that and combine it with the fact that your worth is infinite, it changes, at least for me, every breath that I take during the day. Now, P, I did one of the 3 Ps yesterday. Sound like that guy selling insurance. The 3 Ps. No, one of the 3, and that was possibility. When you know you're worth, you're priceless, or you're worth an infinite amount and you're divine, then you have a new view on your possibility. The second P, right, is purpose. Purpose. When you realize how much you're worth and who you are, and you can then have a view, a vision of your possibility. Like I was talking to somebody this morning, a beautiful client, and I could see as we were talking both the yearning and the possibility of what she could create if she wanted to. Now, it doesn't create itself, but seeing those possibilities lights me up, and helping my clients or others, you right now, see your own possibility. Like if you think about what you could create, if you knew your worth and your divinity and your possibility, what could you do this year? The rest of, we have 11 and a half months, or even in the next 90 days. Like I'm holding a book challenge to help people write books. And that's going to start at the end of February. Pay attention here. We're going to talk about it more as it gets closer, but it starts February 24th. If you have a story you'd like to tell and you'd like to create a book or a program to do that, this is the place to do it, because if you take this workshop, you will have it done in your hand, finished, yellow button day on the internet, ready to sell or provide value to others. That's the purpose of this workshop. The second P is purpose. Now, for me, I've discovered when I figured out what I chose to have as my purpose, everything changed in my life. I wake up every day stoked and excited. I don't have to motivate myself. I am motivated. The purpose motivates me. Now, some people are driven to eradicate homelessness. I was talking to somebody this morning about that. I know another fellow who's going to be on the LA Talk radio show in a couple of weeks. His goal, and he's building these 3D printed tiny houses to help address the housing need, partially for homeless, but partially for everybody. And he's going to be a guest on my LA Talk radio show on February 4th. And I'm so excited to have him tell his story about that. So when you have a purpose, it motivates you. Worth, identity, possibility, purpose. And we'll talk about the last P tomorrow. But I want you to think about your purpose. Some people talk to me like the purpose has to sort of come to them in some revelation. Well, it didn't happen to me that way. And I know some people that have told me that suddenly they realized what their purpose was. Great. My experience is you have to choose it. Now, there's a process that I help people go through to look at their life, their capabilities and skills and what they love to do, and landing on a purpose and then claiming it fiercely. Absolutely. To me, that's the best way to get it done. And it involves our participation. If I sit around and wait till purpose lands on me from heaven, not going to happen. So I invite you to consider what your purpose is. If someone asks you, what's your purpose? And if you say, just getting through the day, okay, sometimes life is like that. I can imagine for the people in LA right now that have been struck with these horrible fires, that might sound like a good purpose for this period of life. But when you're not in the midst of an immediate crisis, it's way more meaningful to look at the world and look at it not in terms of what do I get, what do I need, what can I claw into me, but what can I give? How we choose to love and serve. Now, if you feel a yearning to serve and to bless others with your life story, with your experience, just because you see things going on in the world, that is the genesis of a purpose. The process after that is to figure out how to do something with it, how to create a story, write a book, create a product, how to do something with that yearning. And that's what this workshop I'm starting in February is designed to do. Identify, crystallize, produce, and monetize some kind of a product that is reflective of your deepest desires to serve and love. You are worth. Your worth is infinite. Your identity is divine. Your possibility is infinite if you want to claim it. I was talking to a client this morning. We were talking about, it's easy to say you're worth a lot. Your worth is high. And sometimes we think, well, as long as I'm being a good person, automatically everything's okay. Well, I haven't experienced that. If I want to get here and I'm here, there's a road. There is a road to get from here to there. But I got to walk it. And sometimes it's rough and there's broken glass and it's a struggle and you got to climb. And then the question is, gee, how bad do I want to get up there? Not that bad. Well, then you won't get the joy of being up there. The truth is, I don't care how steep the road is, you can walk it. That is the most powerful thing I've learned in the 17 and a half years since my life changed dramatically. There's a road between where I am and where I want to go, and I can go if I want. And I have to be willing to pay the price, do the work, sometimes crawl over the broken glass, but I've got to do it. But there is a way to get there. So if you feel some kind of yearning and purpose, let's talk. I want to hear it. I want to know. I want to rejoice with you in your greatness. Because I know who you are. You're a divine being. You have the DNA of God in your body and your spirit, which means you have infinite possibility. And from that, if you take the time to live into those thoughts and spend some time in it, you will know what you're called to do. And yeah, you'll adjust it along the way, but you'll know. So this is adventure of 100 days, my journey to reach 40 million. If you want to know how I'm doing that, reach out and get a hold of me. The URL on the screen, KellenFlukigerMedia.com. Go there. There's a contact form. Love to talk to you. My whole world is meeting new, beautiful people just like you to help you get exactly what you want out of life and create that life of purpose, prosperity, and joy that is your birthright. Love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.